Hello, and welcome back to Games Embassy with the Ambassadors of Gaming. I'm one of your two hosts, Ambassador Chris.
And I'm Ambassador Michael.
And we have news about stuff. Michael, how are you today?
I am doing well, actually. I don't feel terrible and like death. I'm a little sleepy because I woke up late, but...
Yeah, dude, he had his dumpster lid shut, so he couldn't see the sunlight, so... It happens from time to time.
My natural alarm clock didn't wake me up.
This is why we need your Patreon money so that Mike can stop living in a dumpster
and also afford an alarm clock.
Yeah. So I'll go straight from there into Mike's plug for Patreon.
Oh, sure. So, if you are unaware, we have some exclusive content on the Patreon that you can get for just $1 a month. You can also get some cool perks if you want to help us out. You can get some questions read on the show. You can also get the show early. In case you are unaware, we also have updated the show and submitted it to iTunes. We're still waiting on their approval. We're on Google Play now, and we're on Spotify. So that's pretty cool. So in case you don't want to just watch us on YouTube or pretty much just on YouTube, because I stopped posting to Facebook ever since I updated it with Google Play and Spotify, so that way you guys have more options as to where you want to watch the show.
Yeah. And before we go on, I just want to point out that that money that we used to get us onto those platforms directly came from Patreon. So thank you to anyone who does give us that those donations on Patreon. It is super appreciated. So let's go ahead and get right into it, though. Mike, why don't you start us off with some updates?
Oh boy. So Team Sonic has confirmed that the next Sonic game is in the works. Takashi Iizuka has confirmed that the next game has, quote, begun production. However, the team was worried to let fans know that they won't likely see anything from the new game until next year.
PS4 exclusive Wild is still being made. This time from an image taken by Michael Ansel, the creator of Beyond Good and Evil and Rayman. To compound this, Sony has also filed for a new trademark in the US for Wild, and interestingly includes the wording video game software, computer game software, virtual reality game software, providing temporary use of non-downloadable game software and virtual reality game services provided online from a computer network. A bunch of business gobbledygook sounding stuff.
For the trademark. Interesting that VR is in there. No, you're fine. It's interesting that VR is in there. I haven't checked to see if that correlates with other games, but maybe.
Yeah, dude. That makes me excited. I'm looking forward to a new way for PlayStation VR to make
just like fly like an eagle in VR. Yeah, dude, it'd be great.
And vomit.
Konami has officially revealed their anniversary collection. If you're unaware, this got leaked a little while ago by the ratings boards.
Boy.
The collections will be for a number of their series, the first being their arcade classics, and that comes out on April 18th of this year and has 8 games in it for $20. The second series will be Castlevania, which has 4 confirmed games and looks like there will be 4 more to be announced, and that will be coming in the summer of this year. The third series is the Contra series, and that also has 4 confirmed games and looks to have 4 more, quote, coming soon, and that will also release in the summer of 2019. All of these collections are digital only, however, they will all be released on all major platforms, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Steam.
Call of Duty has been announced for mobile. The official Call of Duty site has taken pre-registration for its upcoming mobile variation. The game will be free to play and feature classic maps like Nuketown. The site offers up not much more than that Activision plans to update it frequently, and it will be taking a lot of assets from Call of Duty Black Ops and Modern Warfare.
If you're unaware, Tencent had put out a couple of Call of Duty mobile games over in China and like over in the East, so not really a surprise that it came here finally. Windows Central has leaked the Xbox One digital version. According to a leak, Windows Central has been given the box art and release information for the Xbox One S all-digital launch. The variation will launch on May 7th and come with Minecraft, Forza Horizon 3, and Sea of Thieves preloaded. Windows Central claims that they have also been sent the actual box, but have decided to make a mock-up instead to protect their sources. This is important to note due to the box having multiple warnings that the Xbox does not accept discs.
Yeah, I can already hear people complaining already of parents who didn't know what they were buying. They're like, my kid can't.
Did you see
bought
the
games
the
and my
mock-up?
kid can't play them.
Did you see the mock-up or no?
I'm waiting for that. I have
Fair
not. I
enough.
usually try and avoid
their mock-up
mock-ups.
is based off of the leak that they received. But long story short, they it's the normal Xbox box, so whatever. And on the left side, on the front, there are 3 separate warnings that say it does not accept this. It only accepts digital. And then on the side of the box, it has those 3 warnings again. So it's like plastered all over that box. So like if you buy it and you don't realize it, I'm sure even an associate will tell you when you're purchasing it, like, you are aware this has no disk drive. You cannot buy game discs. So I hope that'll be the case.
I think this is I know we've already talked about this before, but I think this is a very good option. There are people that don't care about 4K and stuff. They just want to play their games. And if everyone's library, a lot of people's library is the majority digital anyway. So, that works out kind of nicely.
Go off of that. We were discussing it. They did not leak the price point. That's something we still don't know. And I think that'll be a huge factor as well, because the S right now you can buy for, I think the lowest it's ever been is $169 when it's been on sale. I was speaking for a 1S, yes.
For a 1S?
No games, no bundle or anything, just the 1S. But like, so I don't know where this is going to land, because if it lands at like 200, I think the 1S is what, 300 standard? So yeah, but it's almost always on sale, so I don't know where they're going to set it out. I'm very interested to see where it comes in at. So
I've got the 1S console from Walmart being sold right now for $200. Right.
And this thing has to land at like 150.
So yeah,
or something like that. Like,
well, keep in mind that's a Walmart price, so that might be slightly lower. I mean, I'll be impressed if this thing is $200 or less. I will be impressed.
Yeah.
At launch, I will be impressed if it's $200 or less. Okay, so there's that. Moving on, Life is Strange 2 episodes have release dates. Episode 3 releases on May 9th, Episode 4 on August 22nd, and Episode 5 on December 3rd.
Let's see here. Number 7. Okay. Atlas officially reveals Persona 5 The Royal. I have to reword it and say Royal because I keep wanting to say Royale because of the freaking so many battle royales that we always talk about. Yeah, there is no E.
There's also no E.
It's just The Royal. The trailer features a woman character who does not seem to be happy with Persona 5's The Phantom Thieves. That, however, was the only information we were really given, and we will have to wait until April 24th to get more information. So it's this slow, steady rollout for whatever this game is going to be.
All right. It seems Borderlands Remastered may be real. According to another rating post by the ESRB this time, Borderlands may be coming to current generation systems. The game will apparently also include in-game purchases or microtransactions, as we mostly know them. We can infer this due to the rating board using that term with other games like Devil May Cry 5 that had microtransactions.
Putting microtransactions in old games and screwing with the economy. That's great.
Yeah, dude. I love it. I love paying more for a DLC the second time around than I paid for it the first time around. It's great. It's amazing. Thanks Activision for the Modern Warfare 2 remake.
But it's up-resed.
Or the Modern Warfare remake.
Up-resed.
I'm so happy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh my god.
Dude, stop saying that. I might have to change my pants.
So in sad and possibly bad news if true, Axiom Verge's publisher apparently owes the developer and distributor a lot of money. The business manager for Limited Run Games, known for distributing indie games in limited quantities and physical versions, stated that the Wii U version of Axiom Verge is finally coming out, but that the publisher for the physical versions, Badland, owes them $78,000 for physical copies that it never delivered. Meaning the company made them, Limited Run made them, and Badland never really got them to stores or got them to where they needed to be sold. Edelman also went on to say that they have not paid the developer Tom Happ a large amount of money he is entitled due to their contract together, roughly $200,000. And this includes money that was supposed to go to a fund to help Hap's young child pay for his experimental medical treatments, as he has a pretty severe neurological disorder. So that's
That just puts
like
a bad
stealing from
taste in
St.
your
Jude.
mouth. It really does. Like,
you shouldn't do it. It's just really bad.
I mean, you shouldn't steal at all, but you especially shouldn't steal from St. Jude. We wanted to put this in the updates. We know that it would just, it wasn't exactly super gamey in terms of gaming news, but it was something that we wanted to make aware. It's a really crappy situation, so we felt it deserved a place in the news. So feel free to look into that, show them some support. I'm sure that there's a whole bunch of stuff you can read about it online of people that did way more of an in-depth analysis on it.
It's just we don't have enough information. If it's true, which it sounds like it might, that's really crappy. And so, we hope for the best, and I'm sure that they'll get the money. However, Badlands is a European publisher, so there's some disconnect there with legality. So, but now we can get to the real news.
So, all right. So from there. Yeah, well, not real news, but we're going to move on to news where we have a little bit more substance so we can discuss it more. So I'm going to go ahead and take us to our first news point. The Epic Games Store is continuing to get exclusives on its store with no sign of stopping. Epic has announced a bunch of new exclusives coming to its store, meaning you cannot buy them on Steam or the Windows Store. Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit Become Human are all coming to PC for the first time. I want to go ahead and remind people that this is for Detroit Become Human. As far as I know, this is talking about for an exclusive PC release. We already have this on console.
Yep. Those other games are also Epic PlayStation exclusives, or were until now.
Okay. Epic will also be getting Control Ancestors, The Humankind Odyssey, and After Party. The games currently have no release date. So, but Control launches on August 27th on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. This, I was reading, it's kind of funny that we put this in today because yesterday I was reading a whole bunch about the Epic Game Store right now. Okay? And it's very funny. Okay, so we have people complaining, going like, "Well, I like Steam's features. I don't think it's very healthy for the online game market to have a competitor like that. Like, we've been using Steam forever. Why should we go somewhere else?" Like, for one, Metro Exodus got cut by $10 already. For one, like, so you're already getting cheaper deals on the Epic Game Store. And I just noticed something.
Yeah,
this is freaking capitalism. Like, it's like, I don't understand what the problem is.
The problem is
what's the problem here?
Like, a little bit of I have a library already. I don't want to change my library, and also I don't want to have 6 different launchers on my computer. And I'm like, dog, that's you unless you want to go to the Windows Store, like, that's.
Hey, Mike, how many consoles do we have? 3. So we have 3 different launchers that we've had to pay for. Guess what? If you want a game bad enough that is on one platform, you suck it up and you go get it. And the funny thing is here, they don't charge you to use the launcher. Like, you're literally just buying a game at a different store. I was reading a series of tweets from someone who does gaming news, and he said, if you go to Best Buy and they don't have something, are you just going to protest until they get it? No, you're going to go to another store that has it, and you're going to want it at the best price. Like, it's
because Steam's been the top dog for so long, honestly.
Well, guess what? I don't know if you've played Steam recently, but Steam's launcher is not very good. It's like a whole bunch of people experience, not me specifically, but a whole bunch of people experience, they open it up and it instantly crashes and then they got to open it up again. Like, and just recently the game has it just recently got an update, and it finally got an update that it needed, probably because of the competition of the Epic Store. And if you're unfamiliar, the whole reason the Epic Store is such a big deal is because Steam was taking 30% of revenue from games being sold in their store, where Epic Games only takes 12%, and they're willing to pay for all of the publishing fees as well out of their cut. So you're making way more money if you release your game on the Epic Game Store. And now people are just crying about it because they don't want to leave
Their complaint
Steam.
is that the Epic launcher is inferior. And the reason why and it might be, apparently there's a bunch of stuff that Epic the launcher doesn't have that Steam does, and it's like, okay, yeah, that sucks. But also, like, is it that big of a deal? Because, like, I'm looking at the games that have come out on the Epic Store already, and none of them really are multiplayer. So, like, why does it matter if your friends list if you don't have a friends list or, whatever? Like, don't get me wrong, one of the things that they said that the Epic Store was recently updated with is that it didn't have a search bar, and they, like, just recently updated it with that. So, like, that's a valid, criticism. But
I'm not saying that there isn't a valid point to being upset. I'm not saying there isn't a valid point for being upset that you're used to one thing and you don't have another. But guess what? If you want a game bad enough, you deal with it. There are features that the Xbox has, that the PlayStation has, and vice versa. But we don't hold protesting signs outside of Microsoft saying, "Hey, I want Halo to be released on PlayStation." We deal with it and we play on a platform. If you really want the game bad enough, just go play it on the platform. If you clearly don't want it bad enough, if you aren't willing to go and use another free launcher to play the game. I'm very sensitive about this because I'm a console gamer, and we have to pay way more money to play something on a different platform.
So you always have to consider where you're buying it. You don't have to do that with PC. Like, if you buy Anthem on PC, you just get to play Anthem, like, with your friends. Whereas, like, if we buy Anthem on the wrong system, it's like, well, you're screwed. Like, so, I don't know. I don't really get it. I kind of get it, but also at the same point, I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, what was the other thing I wanted to... Outer Worlds. The game from the old BioShock...
The not bad Fallout creators.
They're launching on the Epic Store too, and it's not coming out on Steam for a year. A lot of these games are not coming to Steam, period, though, and I think that's where people are pissed about it. And they're like, well, my library's already there. So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't play PC, so I guess I don't get it. I mean, I'm gonna be kind of pissed if, like, PlayStation does that to me with PS5. Whereas the Xbox, they've pretty much said that everything's just going to carry over from now on. That Xbox One is the platform.
Yeah, they said everything that you can play on the Xbox One will be playable on further consoles.
Which is nice. It's going to have built-in backwards compatibility, basically, or the operating system will just continue to be able to function with that. Whereas with the PS5, if they're like, yeah, you can't play on your PS4 games, I'm going to be like, well, that kind of sucks. Like, I have a bunch of games I want to play.
Yeah, dude, because then the market will be at an instant disadvantage because you'll have the Xbox One. Guess what? Hey, how many release titles do you have? I mean, you should probably have one or two, but guess what? They also have a whole library of games from previous Xboxes that you can play. Like,
again,
PS5 comes out. Hey, we've got
NAC 3.
We've got NAC 3, thank you. I was gonna say Uncharted, but I'm pretty sure Uncharted is
another one, unfortunately.
Done now. You're gonna get another Uncharted.
So, anyways, long story short, it's a platform thing, dude. Sorry, you have to deal with competition.
It's a platform.
To be fair, Steam. The big difference here between Epic and Steam, and why I'm kind of rooting on the Epic, is that Steam doesn't curate their shit at all. And so they just get, like, garbage. Just pure fucking garbage. And, like, sometimes... Yeah, dude.
They took down Rape
That's
Day.
all you really have to say. Like, there was a game on there called that, and it's like... You let that through? You really let that one through? Like, come on.
All right, we beat this with a dead horse. Let's
I know what you
beat it
mean.
with a dead horse. I always say that, and I don't mean to.
Let us move.
Yeah. So we're going to move on
Cadence
to
of
the
Hyrule
next
was
piece of
announced
news.
at the Nindy Showcase. In case you were unaware, there were a couple of big highlights from the Nindy Showcase. Obviously, Cuphead coming to Switch, which we discussed previously, and a new indie Legend of Zelda title. The developer of Crypt of the Necrodancer will be bringing the title to life with one of the Japanese Nintendo teams. The idea came about when the studio reached out to Nintendo to talk about adding Link and Zelda to their Switch version of Crypt of the Necrodancer. According to Ryan Clark, the studio founder, quote, Nintendo was extremely interested in the prospect, unquote, when he was talking to them. Nintendo's Kirk Scott explained that, quote, developers are always reaching out to Nintendo to include IP in their games. When you look at a case like Cadence of Hyrule, there's special cases in some instances where our Japan team see content and see titles that they want to work with, and the interest is a two-way street, really. End quote. So, this is interesting because Nintendo is super protective of their IP, and they're just like, here, make an indie game. Like, okay.
Yeah. The whole reason that the biggest reason that their deal fell through when when Sony created the add-on for the SNES that would then become the PlayStation 1, the biggest reason the deal fell through was because it would have given Sony rights to use their IP in games. And we've also I don't know if you've heard, look up the Philips CDI Legend of Zelda games. Those are the last, I'm pretty sure those are the only, even just saying third-party Legend of Zelda does not sound right.
I think the only other one is Hyrule Warriors, right?
Hyrule Warriors, yeah, but that's a totally different type of game that just uses Nintendo that just uses, I guess it has a story, but yeah, and they already and Nintendo was in direct contact with them while they were making that game.
Okay, fair enough.
So Nintendo is very protective of their IP. I'm very hopeful that this is going to be a cool game because Nintendo's not an idiot, and they wouldn't let one of the biggest stars of one of their biggest IPs, and most well respected IPs go,
especially
to
because
make
the
a crap
Japanese
game.
team is working with them on this. So, apparently, the big highlight, the reason why it was like this, is because they reached out, and that game centers around music. And so Nintendo was like, hey, like Legend of Zelda has a lot of music that people enjoy. We could use the music from the games and, kind of make something really interesting here. And so that's kind of how this came about. So I thought it was super interesting. So that's why I put it in here. Whereas if you want to catch up on the Nindies, they have a YouTube video that you can watch on it. That was the live stream. There's some cool stuff in there, but we're not really going to cover all of it just because, we could be here for the next 10 minutes just naming games. So,
all right. So, big hopes for this game. I hope it's cool. If you're using Zelda assets, you better make it cool. So next up, we've got a lot of PlayStation news. We're going to be talking about two of the footnotes. I'm just going to, and the first footnote's kind of like an update. So, so EA Access may be coming to PS4 after all. A screenshot from the Brazilian PlayStation Store has shown the logo for EA Access in the PlayStation Store. The source is an anonymous user that forwarded the picture to a PS4 group, and someone within that group supposedly posted the image. So take it with the biggest grain of salt. However, EA did say it was bringing EA Access to another major platform this year. So that was, there's our update. And now the first one that we're really going to discuss is a rumor that Sony may stop selling full digital game codes at stores that are not the PlayStation Store, like at GameStop and Best Buy, like these retailers. According to Wario64 on Twitter, GameStop employees have received a memo stating that customers will no longer be able to purchase full digital copies and should instead focus on selling the customer a physical copy. This seems to come from Sony themselves, as Nintendo and Xbox seem to still be selling digital codes. Mortal Kombat 11 and Days Gone will be honored at GameStop, given the code out within 1 week of their release dates. The suspected policy is to be enacted on April 1st. April Fools. While searching through GameStop and Best Buy online, it seems that certain titles are still available to pre-order through Best Buy. However, they do not allow for pre-orders of Mortal Kombat. I don't know why I said MK. Mortal Kombat 11 on PS4.
This one is super weird. Like the second I read this, I was like, "What?"
Mike had to correct me on this, so I was a little confused by this because I thought that they would want to sell more digital copies at GameStop because it means that they don't have to pay as much money for discs. You know, you want them to buy more digital, but apparently, according to Mike,
the reason I believe this is the case
is true?
When you sell a game at a retailer, you have to split the profit with them. So you have to split the profit between Sony, the developer, and the retailer. If Sony cuts out the retailer, they can just take that money, especially if it's their own game. So like Days Gone, for example, or The Last of Us 2, they just don't have to split that with GameStop, and they can just make 100% of the profit on that game. So why wouldn't they do that? Like, it makes sense, but it's also kind of like, when I sat and thought about it originally, I was like, this is pretty stupid. This is just going to piss off GameStop. And then I was like, but if I really wanted to just buy a digital version, I could either buy codes from GameStop, you know, the gift cards, which you still can do, or I could just boot up my PlayStation and buy it off the store. Like, it's not that big of a deal, honestly.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. They're like, if you really want to buy it digitally directly from us.
To go
we
back,
can keep all the profit.
Just to the last story, you know, the Epic story, like, how stupid would it be if you had to go to GameStop to buy a digital code to open up the Epic launcher to put a code in to get the game? It's kind of silly. Like, you know, when you put it in that way, you're like, that's stupid. But because it's the way we've done it for so long, it's not. So it doesn't sound stupid, you know. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting that only Sony's doing this, because I thought it might have been GameStop at first. You know, that was just like, we're not going to sell digital copies anymore. And I'm like, that's not, you know, that would be like putting, you know, the noose around your own neck. But it seems like it is just Sony. So that's so weird, because like I was like, there's maybe not. And then I, you know, like I said in the note here, I did search through the site, and you can't pre-order anything after April 1st digitally. You just can't. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's probably true then. Fun.
Good stuff. Great. Super happy. So then the next little piece of PlayStation news is that PlayStation announces State of Play. State of Play will be PlayStation's version of Nintendo Directs. The first episode will have likely already aired before you have ever seen this podcast. Just so it's kind of old news.
We'll know what it is by the time
news
you're listening. So,
yeah, the focus of this video will be about upcoming PS4 and PlayStation Vomit regularly games, including new trailers, new game announcements, and new gameplay footage. I have to admit, I took Vomit regularly from Honest Trailers. I did not come up with that. So, yeah, no, I did not come up with that. I'll be honest. So this actually has me concerned, and I'll tell you why. PlayStation, no one notices how crappy things are until someone else gets better. That's what we're noticing with Steam and the Epic Store right now. Like, ever since the Epic Store, you know, they're getting games at a discount, they're getting more exclusives. You're realizing that Steam needed a little bit of a makeover. Steam was not, you know, you glossed over it. The same thing goes for consoles. We've seen that PlayStation 4 obviously dominated the beginning of this console generation, and it's still doing really well now. But the better that now that Xbox is finally, you know, getting it together, they're making their platform better. Now we're starting to see cracks in the once super polished image that we had of PlayStation. We've seen their arguing tooth and nail over crossplay. We've seen their poor programming design and not being able to change your name. That's still is still a problem. and I'm very concerned that these things will basically just not. These videos will be uploaded and they'll be shown, and they're only going to be used as like a thing of like, well, why isn't this like this? Or where's the name change? Where's, you know what I'm saying? Like, the more that they exactly, because remember, their big thing for not like, they were like, hey, I hope by next PSX you don't have to ask me that when you can change your name. So what happened? They canceled PSX.
It was like, yeah. It worked out pretty poorly for them, and we still don't have name changes. As far as I'm aware, they're still in beta. So I mean, I understand your point and where you're coming from. It basically doesn't allow the game's press to really like get face to face with them during an event and ask those questions.
Yeah, and also they can't hide anymore. When they're putting up videos, all everyone's going to comment on these videos is, where's this, where's that? We've been waiting for this forever.
But I don't...
Can't hide anymore. I don't really see the point.
I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree at the same point, because I understand where you're coming from. But also, like, Nintendo didn't get the short end of this, or they didn't get any leniency during the Wii U era, and that's when they started doing these directs. So,
of course.
I think...
Yeah.
That you're right, that it probably is partially to avoid that, so they don't really have to. But it's also one of those things where it's like, you can only hide for so long. Like, eventually it's coming for you. Like, so, I think you'll get the answers to your questions eventually. It's just that we're not getting any talk from Sony lately. This is the first thing Sony will have really done since E3 last year. And they're not going to E3 this year. So this is pretty much it. They didn't do PSX last year. I told you, they said they didn't have enough information to really do that. Basically, none of their games are going to be either... they don't really have anything to update us. It would just be a repeat of E3 last year, basically, is what they said. Or that's how I took it, I guess. Is that last year, like, they just like, here's some new footage from the games that we're making. We're like, cool, but when are they coming out? And they're like, don't worry about that. We're like, but we're kind of worried about that. We'd like to know. Yeah. So I think this is how they kind of are bypassing that. I don't think any of those games are ready yet. If they were, I mean, even then, the release dates aren't a big deal as they used to be. So
yeah, I agree with you in the fact that, I guess these things do go with the good and the bad. Nintendo did have their directs during the Wii U time, and they still have them during the Switch time. I'm just concerned that the more PlayStation holds off on the things that people have been asking for forever, and basically showing state of play, and they say, hey, we're working on this and we're working on this, it's just going to get people to go, yes, but why aren't you working on this? Where is this? We've been waiting for this forever. Where is this?
Just because it's been a common thing lately. I've been playing more PlayStation lately, because I've been working my way through the Kingdom Hearts collection with Adam, and we've been having major problems, just like with the operating system of PS4. Like, his PS4 like barely reads discs anymore. Like, it just like has a hard time reading discs. And my operating system runs like crap.
I don't have those problems
on my PS4. It's super slow, like for no real reason.
Not me. Mine's been working just
everything
fine.
Loads super slow, and I have a Pro. Like, me and you have the same system, I think. Don't you have? Yeah.
Our PlayStations are about the same age, too. We both have the
because I went and got mine during a deal,
out.
And then I told you about the deal, and then you ended up going and getting yours like the same day or the day after. So, like, we bought them almost at around the exact time.
Yeah, I turned in my black PS4 Pro and bought a white PS4 Pro.
But to be fair, your PS4 Pro was like not a lemon, but there was something wrong with it, right? And you got a deal or something like that initially.
Yes, I did. It had I got it for like a stupidly low price, but that's sure. Branching. We should move on to our next.
Microsoft has announced the ID at Xbox Game Pass. This is a stream that will be focused on indies, and Microsoft said to expect new reveals, gameplay highlights, and developer insight. So ID at Xbox, if you don't know, is independent developers at Xbox. That's Xbox's way that they communicate with indies and stuff like that. So This could be interesting.
This is ever since like last year when we saw them at E3 and he brought Phil Spencer brought this huge powerhouse of games coming, saying I've been really trying to work with Japanese developers, and he's been working hard on that. I'm really excited by to see what they're going to bring here. They're going to bring some really good indies to Microsoft, and like I said, with them still in recovery from their horrible reveal of the original Xbox One, they could use all of this that they can get.
Real quick, just while I'm thinking about it, the Idea at Xbox program also has a early access feature, and they have not utilized that pretty much at all. I find that to be very interesting. Yeah, there's not very many games that launch in early access. If they do, they're releasing under our noses because you and I never talk about them, and I never see anything about them. And the Facebook group that I'm in, that we talk about fanboys, I never see anybody there talk about early access titles, and a lot of those are primarily Xbox players. So, like, I don't think that feature is really being used, which is fine with me because the first one that did it was that game, We Happy Few. That's what it was, and it ran like crap apparently. So, I think maybe they on the back end ditched that. But anyways, I'm interested to see what this is, but also real quick to nip it in the bud before the inevitable comment comes. Bro, why are you so hard on PlayStation? But why are you praising Microsoft? Because Microsoft doesn't have a bunch of glaring problems that they've neglected. That's why.
Yeah, as we talked about, like I said, the acronym I used earlier, when someone's doing really, when one person is doing, there's a difference between someone doing really bad and someone doing really good. In which case, we've seen that PlayStation, we're seeing the issues right now that have been there since launch, but the Xbox One seemed so bad at the time that it made the PlayStation look so amazing. And now that the Xbox is catching up, we're seeing that these issues with the PlayStation are way more prevalent and are being noticed. The biggest ones, of course, being crossplay, which even though they finally gave it and allowed it on Fortnite and Rocket League, we've already done news on this show to show that PlayStation is still not making it easy to do any sort of cross-platform gameplay. They're still fighting it. They're making it as difficult as possible. And Xbox is getting better and better.
That's the exact point I was going to make, is that Xbox is actually working on its problems, made itself better, and PlayStation just kind of sat on the sidelines and be like, we're selling PS4s like hotcakes, fuck you. Like...
Exactly. Yeah. They didn't have to worry about it. And now finally that Xbox is just starting to catch up, they're like, oh crap, now people are noticing that we don't,
and that's
have some
PR
of our stuff
department.
Together. If a person with one gunshot wound in their chest is going to look better than someone with 4 gunshot wounds in their chest.
Yep.
Is what I'm trying to say here. Like, just because Xbox was really bad at start does not mean that the PlayStation was really good at start. It just means that it didn't suffer those same issues. So it's, and I own both. I own both consoles.
3 years now, I think.
I do own both consoles,
roughly. So like, we're pretty entrenched in both systems.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm not an X-bro, I promise. Trust me, if this was the other way around, if Xbox was
years,
we were super critical of the Xbox. We were so critical in the early days.
The old show,
very critical. The old show that we did, we were very critical. We are not PlayStation. We're not PlayStation haters. We're haters on people that think that they're so high and mighty that they don't need to try and fix anything.
Yeah. Well, we did 2 whole YouTube videos on the mistakes and state of those companies, of Xbox and on PlayStation. You can still see those videos. We call them PlayStation Xbox blunders. And both of them are like 20, 30 minutes where we just shit on them basically for the stuff that they didn't adjust or fix. So, you know.
But if you want to hear me say something good about PlayStation, I will tell you, I have carpal tunnel in both hands, and I never have any problem playing with the DualShock 4 ever. The DualShock 4 is so comfortable. It is incredibly comfortable. On the other hand, I bought an Xbox One Elite controller, and it makes my hands numb because it's too heavy. So $150 that I have wasted.
I love that controller so much.
So it is. It's a nice piece of engineering, but it is too heavy, and it is not. Even the original Xbox One controller, the One X controller, the one that it comes with, just the plastic one,
no, not really.
Still isn't the most comfortable. So kudos to you, Sony engineers, because that controller is comfortable to my damaged hands. So rant over. We aren't hard on we're hard on these game consoles because we love them and we want them to be as awesome as we know they can be. We shit on the Switch too. So everybody gets it. So oh yeah, all the time. I really hope you've seen some of my videos where I talk about the pendulum of poop. I have this analogy and it's amazing, and I am eager for the next example I have of it, so I can use it again.
It's less a pendulum and one of those 360s. You know what I mean? Like on a 360 spin. Less of a back and forth.
Oh yeah, there's a hole in the bottom of the bucket, and the bucket's swinging around, and it just sprays one thing at a time.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I think it's still a pendulum, but we need to move on. Enough. We need to move on. So Apple may also be working on a game subscription. This is definitely interesting. Apple is set to make some announcements this coming Monday, the 25th. Bloomberg is reporting that Apple is working on a game subscription, not a streaming service, but like something along the lines of like Game Pass, where you can play a whole bunch of games for a subscription fee. According to Bloomberg, the reason for this service is for the company to offset stagnating hardware sales.
Yeah. It's like, here's a collection of apps, basically, is the idea, I guess. Again, by the time that you see this podcast, Apple will have already done its announcement presentation. But real quick, this is... I go ahead and say what you want to say, and then I'll get to my point. Because it's going to be a little ranty.
Well, a lot of what I would like to say would be more talking about Apple and their hardware than anything actually related to games. Okay. So I don't really think my rant has a place here.
My rant here is more about the current state of business. I talk about this with a lot of my friends a lot because we talk about everything. The biggest problem in business right now is not about how you can provide the best product or service possible. It's about how you can make the most money and how you can do so with the highest margins. So cutting costs, cutting employees. We talked about that with the Activision layoffs. Apple has it's doing this because of stagnating sales, not loss of sales. It hasn't lost any sales. It's just kind of hit its peak. You know what I mean? And that's because so many people just repurchase their iPhones. The iPhone is better now than it's ever been, so like they last longer, so less people are upgrading. And then on top of that, Android finally got its stuff together enough where it's a viable market to get into. So the only reason they're doing this is to make more money. And I don't necessarily think that's the only reason why you should do something, personally. I think you should want to do it because you believe in it or you think it's a good idea. But that's just me, I guess.
I read a while back that Steve Jobs had no interest. We all know that Apple is a company that I think of, and I have an iPhone and I have a Mac, but Apple is a company full of hipsters. They're full of hipsters. They think that we had a prototype where our computer had a touchscreen. It just didn't feel right. Our computers are designed for a pointer. And like, okay, well, I have a Surface Pro 4 that I use for school, and I can tell you that if Apple let us run a Mac operating system on their iPad Pro, I'd buy it in a second. But no, they're like, but we feel that our iOS is better for our tablets, not our computer. Like they're very hipster-esque. They do things for not always business reasons. And I remember back in the day, I read something along the lines that Steve Jobs had basically no interest in the games market. The only one he ever had was when a game that would become Halo which became a Microsoft
Right.
exclusives, was revealed at Macworld a while back. And aside from that, I don't think they've ever really done anything game related up until I think Super Mario Run.
And even then, it eventually came to other stuff, and it wasn't like they helped develop it or anything. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I'm very, very interested in that as well.
Now, if this could lead to maybe an Apple-made console, I would be
like
definitely
that.
interested. Just to see the hardware in it.
Right.
I'd be interested just to take a look at it.
Conversations about Apple being able to get into the gaming sphere and preparing to do so, but they've also been rumored to have a car in the works as well. And then, we haven't seen anything about either of those in forever. So they might just be things that never see the light of day.
So, but before we move on to our next piece of news, I would actually like to reference an old episode from forever ago. We talked about a rumor that this was seriously, I think, like almost 2 years ago. This was before. I think we were still we had rebranded, but we were doing our old show was called Phone a Friend News. And we did a rumor. We reported on a rumor that Google was entering the games market and working on a piece of hardware. Now, it's coming full circle.
In case you live under a rock and haven't seen, Google has announced Google Stadia. It exists, and we know mostly what it is. So Google has announced that it is launching Google Stadia, a game streaming service. However, it didn't say the exact date that it plans to do so. The service will use high-end PCs.
Well, Google Stadia is a piece of hardware,
isn't it? It's a piece of software.
I could have sworn
there's
I
a piece
read
of hardware.
something
We'll
about
get to that later, though. But it's not.
Continue.
It's not called. The Stadia is not itself a piece of hardware.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, no wait. What am I thinking? I misread this whole thing. No, I remember. I'm sorry. Yeah, Google Stadia
is a
piece of software
and servers to run and operate the games, and then stream them to the end user, where it will be available on their Chrome browser, their phone, Chromecast, or if you have Chromebook. And as you know, Chromebooks have no operating power at all. So the service did not offer any details about how it will price the service or the controller. Stadia allows for users to have all current controllers, with the exception of being able to use it on the TV. On the TV, you have to use Google Stadia controller. The Stadia controller, however, is pretty standard with one or two exceptions, and that's mostly software related. It has an additional button on top of the pause and select variations, and those two buttons will be for sharing and for the Google Assistant. So that's very interesting. On top of that, it also will allow for 4K streaming straight to YouTube from Stadia. So using Stadia, you can stream to YouTube at 4K, or you can record in 4K. And I think it can do both, actually, at the same time, then publish later. Stadia also offers a large amount of features, such as creating links for timed trials or challenges, allowing developers and publishers to also link the games to their YouTube links. The example being, you see a trailer for Assassin's Creed, and at the end you can click a link and start playing the game right there in your browser. Google did not offer any information about whether it will have a storefront, or if all the games will be included with the service, or if the service will have multiple tiers. So Stadia can and does do a lot that is currently offered, with the exception of needing a home console. Google had tons of information that we could talk about for a long time, really, but these are the main highlights and things you really just kind of need to know right now.
Okay, so we've talked about game streaming services before. The problem is that there's the biggest issue that's always there is input lag. Certain games can be made. It's very difficult to play, especially multiplayer games, where you have where the timing and movements of things are taken very seriously, and delays can mean the difference between winning and losing. That being said, Google has the infrastructure to make this work.
And they have the money and people to be able to design this. But let me give an example, because I think it's important. What I have heard is running Assassin's Creed Odyssey at 4K at its highest frame rates. I can't remember if it's 60 or 30 at the moment, but running it at the highest settings, right? streaming only took roughly about 18 megabytes per second, which is like nothing for a lot of people. For a lot of people, that's nothing. Now, for a lot of people, that is something, because I know people that live in major cities that still only have 10 megs per second. So, like, it depends on where you live. And there was this big whole discussion.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about the most. That's the discussion
that people have been having, and I've been seeing all week, is like, well, this doesn't work for me because I don't have good internet, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you will eventually. Like, eventually you will. It's just like when the internet came out and you were like, the internet's stupid, we don't have the internet. And then you eventually got the internet. You know what I mean? Like, you'll get upgraded eventually. All these companies are upgrading their infrastructures very, very quickly. They're just starting on major cities first before they branch out, because that's where the most amount of people are and where traffic is the heaviest. So that's where it makes sense to start. So, like, eventually you'll get there. But this is not meant for you if you live in the...
Yeah.
Right.
Google,
if you live in the middle of nowhere, I'm sorry, this is not for you. That you are not the intended audience. Like, that's just not who they're targeting. And a lot of people are concerned that this is the way gaming will be in the future. And I'm like, I mean, maybe, but not for the next, like, 5 to 10 years, at least. Like, it's not like tomorrow they're going to be like, we're shutting down all the Xbox and PS4s, fuck you. You can only stream games now. Like, it's not going to happen. So, like, it's a little bit of paranoia, I think, on a lot of people's end.
I agree. This story has been going around a lot. I was really interested in the Stadia controller, the way that they showed how it's used, and it basically comes down to you pointing the controller at what you're playing on, which is crazy. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, you don't have to worry about any stupid cords or trying to make sure it's linked to this and not that. Like, that's crazy. Google is a huge tech superpower. Superpower. Google is up there and probably
so
the top
much
3.
You don't even know what they own.
Of tech superpowers.
Honestly.
Yeah. So they definitely... assuming you're in a good internet area, like I said, Google can only do so much. There is some dependence on the internet that you are connected to. But everything in Google's power, on Google's end, you know that all of that stuff's going to be rendered in the highest definition possible and streamed. They're going to have huge server rooms. They're going to have a huge multiple server farms where they're going to be rendering all this stuff and sending it out to people. Yeah, when it comes to Google's end of the deal,
I'm not worried
this
about
is going to be
the
nothing.
Quality of it at all on Google's end. And honestly, if it comes out and they're like, okay, Stadia's like $20 a month or whatever, and the controller's like 60, I don't know, let's just say it's that, right? I mean, I'll try it. Like, I'll try it because I live in an area where I have decent enough internet that I can stream, and I have an Android, so that kind of helps. And I have a Chromecast. I think I need the new Chromecast, so I probably wouldn't do it that way. Yeah, I have an old.
Yeah, I also have an old.
I
also have an old
Chromecast.
Chromecast.
The one that's more like an orb-looking thing. But it's definitely something I'm gonna consider looking into because, like, I've kind of broken the boundaries on where I play games. I just kind of play games wherever it's best for me, you know? And so, like, if I can, as stupid as it is, if I can plug a dongle into my TV and get a 4K game and I paid $80 to just be able to operate that and it runs better than my X, I'll do that. But if it runs the same as my X, I won't. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to compare and contrast and see. And, you know, if it ends up being the better product, the only thing that kind of puts me off, and I know this is really stupid, but, like, not having achievements and trophies kind of will put me off. Like, I know it's not a big deal, but I do like those things.
That's a person-to-person basis. I do understand, though. I'm lucky that I don't worry about that stuff because I know that there are people who, one of the issues people have with just moving from console to console is their game score, is their trophy score. They get super... And people can't help how they are. If they think that's important, then that's what it has to be. But there are... luckily, I don't care about that. Luckily, I'm a very finicky person. Ask Mike. There are things that Yeah, I've sold I think 3 or 4. I bought like 3 or 4 Nintendo Switch grips, and I don't use any of them because they bother me in some sort of super finicky way that wouldn't bother anyone except me because I'm an idiot.
Because I have compulsions.
Yeah, I cannot help the compulsions that I have. So, all right. I'm stretching right now.
That's everything. It's a nice, long, meaty show.
That is everything.
So,
yes, I don't like the word meaty, but try and check us out at least once a week. That's how often we try and do this. And we are going to get out of here. I'm Ambassador Chris.
And I'm Ambassador Michael.
And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye, friends.
We're gone.